The diner's neon sign flickered weakly against the pale morning sky, humming like it was as tired as the people who worked beneath it. Mara wiped down the counter for the third time, not because it needed it, but because it gave her hands something to do besides tremble. The breakfast rush would start in 10 minutes. The manager's mood was already bad. The coffee machine sounded like it wanted to quit as much as she did. She forced a breath in, then out, steadying herself. "You all right, sweetheart?" Gloria, the cook, called from the kitchen window, flipping pancakes like it was second nature. She'd been here 15 years. Nothing rattled her. "I'm fine," Mara lied, arranging cutlery with military precision. "Just didn't sleep much." Gloria snorted. "You never do. That the landlord again? Or your brother?" "Both," Mara said softly, giving a shrug that tried to look careless. "Rent's late. Ray's hours got cut. It's whatever." Gloria leaned on the sill, studying her with eyes that had seen more storms than sunlight. "You hold that boy's whole world on your shoulders and still come in here with a smile. Don't ever let these people make you forget that." Mara managed a small smile. The bell above the door chimed before she could answer. The first customer of the day walked in, an older man, gray beard trimmed neatly, wearing a faded navy jacket and scuffed shoes. He carried himself like someone who'd lived a long, heavy life and learned not to take up more space than he needed. He paused at the entrance, looking around as if he had stepped into a memory. Mara straightened immediately, smoothing her apron. "Good morning, sir." "Booth or counter?" He glanced at the booths near the window and then back at her. "Booth, please, if that's all right." His voice had a calm strength in it, almost like a quiet river. Slow, steady, deeper than it looked. "Of course," Mara said, leading him to the booth with the best view outside, where the early light streamed in and warmed the green vinyl seats. "Coffee to start?" "Please," he replied, settling down carefully. "Black." She nodded, then caught herself staring. There was something about his eyes. Tired, yes, but observant, like they noticed everything. When their gazes met, he offered a small, polite smile. Mara smiled back quickly and hurried away before she could be accused of lingering, as her manager liked to say. At the coffee station, she could already feel someone watching her. She didn't have to turn to know it was Todd. Todd, the assistant manager with the crisp shirt and permanent smirk, leaned against the office door, arms folded. He was in his late 20s, convinced the world owed him respect he hadn't earned yet. "New best friend?" he asked, jerking his chin toward the older man. "He's a customer," Mara said, keeping her tone neutral as she filled the mug, like everyone else. "Don't get too cozy," Todd muttered. "Guy like that? Probably nursing the same coffee for 2 hours and leaving a 50-cent tip. Waste of table space." Mara held back a sigh. "We're not busy yet. It's fine." Todd leaned closer, lowering his voice. "You know the rules. Priority service for people who actually spend money. Not strays who wandered in from the street." She bit back the urge to snap. Instead, she picked up the coffee and forced a calm smile. "I'll keep that in mind." As she walked away, she heard him mutter under his breath, "You never do." Mara set the coffee down gently, in front of the older man. "Here you go, sir. Do you need a menu?" "I've already taken a look." He nodded toward the laminated sheet in his hands. "I'll try the trucker's breakfast, if your cook doesn't hate eggs." Mara chuckled, relaxing a little. "Gloria loves eggs. She just hates the people who burn the toast. You're safe." "That's very reassuring," he said, lips twitching with amusement. "Thank you." "Mara," she supplied. "Mara," he repeated, like he was testing the sound of it. "I'm Daniel." "Nice to meet you, Daniel," she said. "I'll put this in for you." As she walked back to the kitchen, she felt something unfamiliar tug at her chest. The small, warm flicker of being treated like a person instead of just a woman in a uniform. She called the order to Gloria, who gave a mock salute. On it, our first victim of the day. While the food sizzled on the grill, more customers trickled in, a couple of construction workers. A woman in a pressed suit, scrolling through her phone, a family arguing quietly over what to order. Mara slipped into the rhythm that had kept her afloat for years. Smile, listen, write, serve, repeat. Yet she kept glancing back at Daniel's booth. Unlike most customers, he didn't rush. He looked out the window, really looked, like he wasn't in a hurry to escape his own life. When the food arrived, eggs sunny side up, bacon crisp, toast buttered, he took a moment before eating, bowing his head silently. Mara couldn't hear the words, but she recognized the posture of someone saying a quiet thank you, not just for the food, but for surviving long enough to eat it. She moved between tables, refilling coffees, taking orders, smoothing over small irritations with gentle humor. All the while, the tension in the diner slowly thickened, as Todd began circling like a restless shark. He leaned over the counter, whispering something to one of the younger waiters, who laughed too loudly. They both glanced toward Daniel. Mara's jaw tightened. On her next pass by Daniel's booth, she CO'd. "Everything all right with the food?" "It's very good," he said, meeting her eyes. "You can tell the cook cares. That's rare." "She'll pretend she doesn't if you tell her," Mara replied with a small smile. Mara, looked tired. The comment surprised her. Customers noticed when their food was late, when their coffee cooled 40 seconds before they were ready. They didn't notice her. "A little," she admitted. "Long week." "Be careful not to let long week turn into long years," he said gently. "People forget they deserve better." He swallowed, thrown by the simple kindness. "I'm working on it." He studied her for another beat, as if he wanted to say more, but then he just nodded. "That's good to hear." When she turned toward the next table, she found Todd directly in her path. "You're spending a lot of time at that booth," he said under his breath. "He your grandpa or something?" "He's a paying customer," Mara replied quietly. "I'm doing my job." Todd's smile was thin. "Your job is to keep this place profitable. That booth could be turning twice what he's spending. He's been nursing that plate for 20 minutes. "Because we just served him," she whispered tightly. Todd leaned closer, his voice sharpening. "Maybe you forgot how replaceable you are, Mara. There's a stack of applications in my office from people who don't argue." Something in her chest flared, fear and anger tangled together. "I don't argue," she said. "I just treat people like they matter." He scoffed. "Yeah? Well, people who matter don't come in here wearing jackets older than the furniture." Mara glanced back at Daniel, who was quietly eating, unaware he was being discussed like a problem. "You don't know anything about him," she said. "And you do?" Todd shot back. "You're really going to risk your job over some stranger?" The question hung in the air between them. For a heartbeat, she thought of rent notices slid under her door, of her brother's textbooks stacked on the kitchen table, of the ache in her feet every night. Then she thought of Daniel's gentle, "Be careful not to let long weeks become long years." And something in her spine straightened. "I'm going to do my job," she said calmly. "If that's a problem, you can talk to me off the floor." Todd's eyes narrowed. "Don't test me, Mara." He turned away, but the threat lingered like a storm cloud. The hours crawled on, the diner filled, the noise swelling into a constant hum. Mara worked faster, weaving between tables like a dancer, balancing plates on her arms, smiles on her face, and a rising knot in her stomach. Every time she passed Daniel, he gave her a small nod, like a silent reminder, "You're doing fine." Eventually, he finished his meal and set his fork down neatly. Mara hurried over with the check, forcing a bright tone. "Can I get you anything else? Pie? More coffee?" "No thank you," he said. "You've already given me more than you realize." Before she could ask what he meant, he slid a folded bill beneath the check. She reached for it, intending to take it to the register, but the corner slipped open just enough for her to glimpse the number. Her breath caught. That wasn't a tip. That was more than she made in 3 shifts. She looked up startled. "Sir, He gave a small shake of his head. "You treated me like a person when others decided I wasn't worth the time. Don't argue with a grateful old man." Her eyes stung unexpectedly. I don't know what to say." "Then don't say anything," he replied gently. "Just remember that how you treat people when no one's watching, someone is always watching." His words sent a strange chill down her spine. Then he stood, buttoned his jacket, and walked out as quietly as he had come in, leaving behind a half-full coffee cup and a waitress whose life was about to slide off its tracks in ways she couldn't yet imagine. Because Todd had seen the money, and Todd had seen the look on her face, and Todd had already decided that no waitress deserved that kind of tip, unless she'd done something wrong. The door swung shut behind Daniel with a soft clang, but in Mara's chest it sounded like the slamming of fate. She didn't move. The folded bill trembled between her fingers, heavy, out of place, shining with danger she didn't yet understand. She slicked it quickly into her apron, heart pounding like she'd stolen something instead of being tipped. Todd's shadow arrived before he did. "You mind telling me what that was?" His voice curled around her ear, low and poisonous. Mara stiffened. It was a tip. That was not a tip. Todd leaned in, eyes sharp and triumphant. "I saw the zeros." She swallowed hard. "Maybe he's just generous." Todd laughed, short and ugly. "Nobody tips that much for eggs, sweetheart." Customers looked up. Mara forced her face into neutrality. "Lower your voice," she murmured. "Why?" Todd stepped closer. "Afraid they'll hear how you're scamming some old guy? Afraid they'll know the truth?" "What truth?" Mara whispered, the world narrowing. Todd's grin widened. "People don't hand out big money unless they're getting something in return." Her stomach twisted. "You're disgusting." "Oh, save the moral outrage." He flicked her name tag lightly, mocking, "Dangerous. You think management's gonna believe you? You, the girl who barely holds on to her position. Or me?" Mara stepped back, pulse thundering. "He just thanked me for being kind." "Kind?" Todd snorted. "He looked at you like he knew you." The accusation hit harder than she expected. Mara didn't even know why. Daniel had sat quietly, eaten politely, offered a few kind words. But Todd twisted it into something rotten. "He doesn't know me," she said firmly. Todd looked toward the door Daniel had left through, his eyes narrowing. "He'll be back. Guys like him always come back." Mara clenched her teeth. "Stop." "Actually." Todd tilted his head, calculating. "This works out. I can report you. Misconduct, inappropriate contact with a customer, accepting questionable money on the job." "You're not serious," she whispered. Todd's smirk widened. "Oh, I am. And unless you want to lose your job today." He held out his hand. "You're going to give me that tip." The world stopped. "No," Mara breathed. Todd's smile faltered. "Excuse me?" "You heard me." The diner's chatter faded to a dizzying hum. The smell of pancakes, coffee, and grease thickened around her. She felt Gloria's eyes from the kitchen window, felt customers watching but pretending not to. But most of all, she felt her own pulse, steady, defiant, drumming the first rhythm of a battle she never wanted but suddenly knew she couldn't run from. "That money was a gift," she said, "and I'm not giving it to you." Todd's jaw tightened. "I am your supervisor." And I'm not your puppet. His face turned the color of spoiled milk. That's it, he snapped. Clock out, you're done. Mara's stomach dropped. You can't fire me. The manager isn't even here. Doesn't matter, Todd hissed. I've got all I need. Security footage, witnesses. Witnesses to what? She demanded, voice trembling with fury. To you taking money under the table. Her throat closed. That is not what happened, she said, and you know it. Todd shrugged, enjoying himself. Management won't care. They don't ask questions when the word theft comes up. Mara staggered back a step, gripping the booth for balance. This couldn't be happening. Not now, not today. Not when rent was due and groceries were low and her brother's textbooks were stacked like little mountains of responsibility waiting at home. Her vision blurred. Then, a voice broke through. Hey, she blinked. The couple in the booth beside her, the construction workers, were watching. One of them, a tall woman, with strong shoulders and a fierce gaze, spoke again. We saw the whole thing, she said, glaring at Todd. She didn't steal anything. The man tipped her. Todd stiffened. Mind your business. It is our business, the woman said, rising halfway from her seat. You can't bully people like that. Her coworker nodded. Leave her alone. Todd's jaw flexed. And then, Gloria shoved open the kitchen window so hard the metal clanged. Mara, honey, she called loudly. Grab the phone. Mara blinked. What? Gloria's eyes locked on hers, sharp, urgent, meaningful. Phone call, she repeated. For you. Confusion flashed inside her. Who would call her at the diner? But the look in Gloria's eyes said something else, something that made the hair on her arms rise. Mara walked toward the counter, Todd shadowing her like a storm. She picked up the phone. Hello, she said quietly. A deep, calm voice answered. Hello, Mara. This is Daniel. Her breath vanished. Daniel? How did he... I apologize for bothering you, he said gently. But I believe something unpleasant may have happened after I left. Mara's hand shook around the phone. How? How did you know? A pause, Daniel's voice, steady and knowing. Because men like the one standing behind you always make noise after kindness enters a room. Mara swallowed hard. Daniel continued, I'm coming back. Don't let anyone intimidate you. I'll be there in 5 minutes. Her heart jumped. You don't have to. Yes, Daniel said firmly. I do. Then the line clicked. Mara lowered the phone slowly. Behind her, Todd scoffed. Who the hell was that? Mara didn't answer. Because suddenly, she knew. Whatever Daniel had meant earlier, someone is always watching. He hadn't been talking about customers. He'd been talking about himself. And he wasn't just some old man with a quiet smile and tired eyes. Something about his tone. Something about the certainty. Something about the way he said, I'm coming back. It felt like the first tremor before the ground breaks open. And Mara realized, Daniel wasn't done with this diner, or with Todd, or with her. The storm was coming, and it was wearing a navy jacket and a quiet smile. The diner door pushed open with a soft chime, quiet, almost gentle. But the entire room reacted like someone had fired a warning shot. Daniel walked in. Same navy jacket, same calm steps, same unreadable expression. But this time, people moved out of his way. He didn't rush. He didn't posture. He didn't raise his voice or look around dramatically. He simply walked with a steady purpose, the kind that didn't need to announce itself to be felt. Todd froze mid-sentence, the complaint he was rehearsing dying in his throat. Mara stood beside the register, pulse thundering, fingers trembling against the plastic keypad. Gloria peered from the kitchen window. The construction workers straightened in their booth. Daniel approached the counter and stopped exactly 1 arm's length from Todd. Up close, his presence was different. Not threatening, Not aggressive, but undeniably powerful. Like a quiet storm, holding itself back out of courtesy. Todd forced a laugh. "Can I help you, sir?" Daniel didn't smile. "No," he said calmly. "I'm here to help her." He tilted his head slightly toward Mara. Mara felt heat rush to her face, a strange mix of embarrassment, anger, and relief. Todd cleared his throat, trying to reclaim dominance. "Sir, whatever she told you." "She didn't tell me anything," Daniel interrupted. The tone was polite, but it silenced the entire diner. "I made an observation," Daniel continued, "and a decision." Todd blinked. "And what decision is that?" "That I don't allow good people to be punished for doing their job." Todd scoffed, crossing his arms. "Look, old man." Daniel slid a small black wallet from his jacket. Not a normal wallet. A credential case. He flipped it open. Todd's face drained of color. Mara leaned forward, not fully believing what she was seeing. A badge. A seal. An identification card with the government's emblem. Not local. Not state. Federal. Daniel spoke evenly, letting the silence swallow the room. "My name is Daniel Whitford. I'm a senior investigator with the Federal Claims and Conduct Oversight Division." Todd's knees visibly weakened. Daniel closed the credential case and slipped it back into his jacket. "I was here this morning conducting a routine community evaluation," he said calmly. "Anonymous assessment. Customer treatment, conflict resolution, staff professionalism. You failed." Todd opened his mouth, then closed it, then opened it again. Like a fish stranded on dry land. "Sir, I was just..." Daniel raised a hand slightly. "Stop." Todd stopped. "You intimidated her. You threatened her. You tried to take money that didn't belong to you. You targeted her because you assumed she was powerless." The words were quiet, precise, surgical. Mara's throat tightened. Daniel turned to her now, but not with pity, with respect. "She treated me with dignity when no one else did," he said. "Not because she knew who I was. Not because she wanted anything. Simply because it was who she is." Mara swallowed hard, eyes burning. "This diner," Daniel continued, "needs more people like her, not fewer." Todd tried to recover. "Sir, with all due respect, she violated protocol." Daniel pivoted sharply, eyes narrowing. "Do not finish that sentence." The air crackled. Todd shrank visibly. "You're done giving orders today," Daniel said. "You've created a hostile environment. You abused authority you never deserved, and you retaliated against someone who did nothing wrong." Todd opened his mouth, then shut it. Sweat gathered at his temples. Daniel turned to Mara again. "May I speak with your manager?" Mara hesitated. She's not here today." "That's fine," Daniel said. "She'll be available in 10 minutes. Todd frowned, confused. "How do you know?" Daniel pulled a phone from his jacket and tapped the screen. "She's already on her way." Todd staggered back. "What? Why would she be coming here?" Daniel looked him directly in the eye. "Because I asked her to." Murmurs rippled through the diner. Mara covered her mouth in shock. Gloria whispered, "Lord have mercy." Todd sputtered, "Sir, you can't just..." Daniel stepped closer, voice low and final. "I can, and I did." A long, heavy pause swallowed the room. Then a car screeched outside. The diner door flew open. Carla, the manager, a woman who never hurried for anything, marched inside, face flushed and worried. Her eyes landed instantly on Daniel. "Mr. Whitford, I didn't know you'd be returning. Is something wrong?" Daniel nodded toward Mara. Yes, he said. Your employee was threatened and illegally sent home by your assistant manager. Carla's jaw dropped. What? Todd tried to stammer out an excuse, but Carla held up her hand. Not one word, she snapped. Go to my office and wait, now. Todd slunk away, defeated, trembling. Carla turned to Mara next, but not with anger. With regret. Mara, I'm so sorry. Mara felt her voice crack. I didn't do anything wrong. I know, Carla whispered, shaking her head. You never have. Daniel stepped back slightly, letting Carla handle it, but watching closely. Carla took a deep breath. Mara Hayes, I am formally reinstating you. Effective immediately. Mara blinked rapidly. I get my job back? Carla nodded. With a raise, you've earned it. Gloria shouted from the kitchen. Hell yes, she did. The entire diner chuckled, relief breaking like sunlight. Daniel adjusted his jacket. I appreciate your cooperation, Ms. Daniels. I'll file the full report tonight. Carla nodded quickly, eager to stay on the right side of whatever government shadow Daniel walked in. He turned back to Mara, and his expression softened. You did well today, he said gently. Don't let people like him convince you that kindness is weakness. Mara exhaled shakily. Thank you for everything. Daniel offered a small smile, the same quiet, gentle one he'd given her hours earlier. You'd be surprised, he said softly, how many people live their whole lives without ever showing courage. You showed it without even realizing. Mara's eyes warmed. Will you come back? Maybe, Daniel said, slipping his hands into his pockets. But if I don't, remember this. He leaned just close enough for only her to hear. You were never invisible, not to the people that matter. Mara swallowed hard. He stepped back, nodded once, and turned toward the exit. As he walked out, sunlight poured into the diner, through the glass door, framing him like a final, quiet promise that he'd been exactly who he needed to be at the moment she needed someone most. Mara stood there, breath trembling, heart full, knowing she'd never forget the man who walked in as a stranger, yet left as the force that changed everything. Thank you for watching this emotional story. If you enjoyed it, make sure to like the video, subscribe to the channel, and turn on notifications so you never miss a new episode. Share your thoughts below. Your voice matters, and we love hearing from you. See you in the next story, where kindness always finds its way back.